kind of actually is. So with that being said, as we move forward into what the team's identity is right now and whether or not they even have one. All right, Kyle, let's get to that Jonas Valanciunas sound, which made my ears perk up when I heard it, because these guys are being honest, if nothing else, and I think we can all appreciate this. Here's what he had to say.
I don't know. We can look for excuses. We can look for reasons, but it's on us. It's on us tonight. It was embarrassing. We didn't come out with the energy. We didn't play our game. So we got to be better. Simple as that. I know it's not easy to do, but, yeah, we got to find energy. We got to find our style of play and be better.
We got to find our style of play. So since the All-Star break, they've gone from playing within the flow of the offense, but we're also playing some bad teams. Domantas Sabonis gets hurt, and they went to an offense by committee. Then Malik Monk got hurt, and it turned into the DeMar DeRozan show, and sometimes featuring Zach LaVine against the Clippers. They alternated between DeRozan and LaVine being the focal points of the offense, with Valanciunas playing the point center. So, yeah, and I think that's the toughest part about this. There was already a question about finding their identity. Then you have to find your identity amongst injuries, right? So Malik Monk goes out, who is the closest thing you have to a point guard. I think he is a better point guard than a lot of people give him credit for. But you have Malik Monk go out. You have Domantas Sabonis go out, who is a huge part of your production, rebounding the basketball, assisting the basketball, scoring the basketball. So I will give them a little bit of grace just because of the injuries. But this was already kind of an issue before Malik and Jonas Valanciunas got hurt. And we got to be honest with ourselves about that. And going back to the clip from yesterday with Doug Christie, when he kind of corrected the question to say that we do run plays, I'm not trying to use the timing as an excuse, but that's the reality. It's 15 games. Within those 15 games, now you have a couple games without Malik Monk. Now you have a couple games without Domantas Sabonis. So as far as Zach LaVine is concerned, so this is just a complete mess. And while offensively, it's a mess at times. That's how I meant to say it. So, it's a lot of DeMar DeRozan. They're not really backing down from the fact that it's a lot of DeMar DeRozan. They're kind of just saying, hey, this is what it is. This is what we're doing. And we're going to rock and roll from here. But we have learned now that they are out-talenting teams. They are beating teams that they are supposed to beat, which has been an issue. And I don't know what to do with New York. Did they have more talent than the Knicks? I don't know, maybe. But, you got different circumstances, back-to-back, things like that.
They are very similar teams.
Very similar teams. They probably should have won being at home, but you throw in the back-to-back, you throw in overtime, and you're still missing Domantas Sabonis, even though they were missing Brunson.
I mean, the Knicks were 3-point favorites.
Yeah, that's true.
Game.
That's true. So that game, I don't really know what to do with. But besides that, the teams that you are clearly better than, you are taking care of business against them. That's what we do know, for the most part. You are taking care of business against them. The issue is there is not enough structure to beat talent teams that have as much talent as you, or maybe more, or maybe just a better team, right? So you lose to the Clippers, who you did not have more talent than. You lose to the Nuggets, who you did not have more talent than. Or at the very least, with the Clippers, you could argue it was the same. It was pretty close, right? So this type of basketball that you're playing right now, I can't, as much as Zach LaVine is averaging over 20 on 50, 40, 90, and DeMar DeRozan is destroying his averages and just he's balling out of control. Nobody can argue that, but this was the same argument in Chicago, which kind of gets dispelled because of injury. Is it leading to winning? DeMar DeRozan, compared to his career numbers, he is averaging one more point a game. He's at 22.1. His career average 21.3. His total rebounds 4, to 4 and assists exactly the same. So this is who he's been. He's nearly 5% better shooting the basketball from 3-point land. He's been better from the free throw line. He's been better from the field. He's been better with his effective or efficient field goal at 51.6 instead of 48. So in all aspects, he's been better, but it hasn't led to winning basketball so far. I want to take a look at and if you're curious, well, is he taking a bunch more shots? The answer is no. 23-24, he actually took more. DeMar DeRozan took 17.2 last season in Chicago. And a couple years ago, 21-22, he took 20 a game, and he was an all-star. 22-23, he was an all-star. He took 17.6. He's actually down just barely, but at 16.7. So his numbers aren't up because he's chucking the basketball more. He's playing well. They're playing well, but it is not translating against better teams. And that is where Doug Christie, and I think that's what Jonas Valanciunas is kind of speaking to. Obviously, numbers don't tell the whole story. De'Aaron Fox leaves. Domantas Sabonis has been injured. But, you know, you're in this position for a reason. You're in this position because you weren't winning games, right? The reason it's a roller coaster, I'll tell you who's not in a roller coaster, the New York Knicks, because they have a 4-game lead in the 3 seed. I'll tell you who's not in a roller coaster, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Who's not in a roller coaster, the Thunder. So they're in a roller coaster for a reason. And now we're just trying to see, can they make it through the loop-de-loop of the Medusa? That's where we're at right now. 916-339-1140. Let's get to JR. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, JR? What you got for us?
You dropped a Medusa.
That's right.
People in NorCal get it.
That's right.
Okay.
You know, that green roller coaster. I loved it. I loved it.
There's an old movie called Parenthood where a Steve Martin movie where the grandma was great. She talked about people that like to ride the Ferris wheel, nice, calm, controlled.
Right.
You know what was going to go on. Or there were the people that loved the roller coaster, unpredictable twists and turns.
That's right.
And I think I love the roller coaster. We love that. That's why you're a fan of a team, is to be in this situation. Yeah, great to win a championship, maybe be one of those front runners that root for that team down in L.A. or, you know, maybe even that Cleveland team this year. But no, roller coaster is where we want to be right now. This is a good spot. I mean, you never know. That's what's great is you never know with this team.
You don't. It could all click, JR. Thanks for the optimism here, or it could not. And honestly, we already know what the worst case scenario. That's the thing about being, I guess, pessimistic. And I know I fall into it, but we already know what the worst case scenario. I mean, the very worst case scenario is they never win a game and they fall out of the play-in. Right. The second worst case scenario is they're the 10 seed, which isn't far different than the 9 seed. I don't even know who's the team that would even mess around and get the 9 seed off the. I mean, could it be the Mavericks? I guess it would be the Suns or the Raptors.
No, wait, the Raptors
or the Suns? I was looking at somebody playing the Raptors, the Suns or the Blazers.
No, those teams are dead to rights. It's going to be Dallas. The 10-9 is going to be Dallas and somebody.
So, you know, and Dallas is in a similar spot. I mean, I think Dallas is actually in a worse spot based on who they traded, obviously. So at worst, you got to go to Dallas and take on a Mavericks team who I guess at that point had gotten hot, or not even gotten hot. You struggled because you played the cream of the crop in the NBA. It was a rough go. The Mavericks beat some teams. Maybe they beat some bad teams, and they snuck in and were able to get the 9 seed. So you got to go to Dallas, and I don't think anybody would be worried about going to Dallas. So we already know what the worst case scenario is. So why not look at what the best case scenario is? Because we don't know what that is. Best case scenario, these guys just, it clicks and they keep winning. But we already know what the worst case scenario is. And right now, you know, you're barely winning. You're barely getting by against these better opponents. And really, you're not getting by. You're losing games. But at the same time, there's still a lot that they can evolve into, right? Can they do it in the allotted time that they have? That's what I don't know. And will they get the opportunity? You know, the other thing, people chiming in, and I know we got to get to the other side, people chiming in, give this team a full camp and you never know what could happen. I don't know that they're going to get that full camp. And that's what we're being told. That's what I've been told. You know, they don't make the playoff. If you make the playoffs, you buy a longer timeline. Maybe, right? Because we know how important it is to make the playoffs. You don't make the playoffs, and I don't know, number one, a DeMar DeRozan who doesn't make the playoffs, does he want to be there? Somebody has to want to trade for him, but does he want to be there? And number two, how does the ownership, how does the front office view this roster? Do they view it the same way some fans view it, to say, if you give Doug, this crew, a full training camp, they could be blank? Because ultimately, I think the better answer is, even with the full training camp, what is it that they could become? Is that going to make them, could they be championship level? So a lot of the questions are, what are we actually trying to accomplish, which is what a lot of people have griped about the Kings in recent memory. On the other side, we keep the conversation going. We look at the Kings' next 5 games where, yeah, it gets hot, but it does cool off a little bit. Alan Stiles, Sactown Sports.